Pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call for the record. Mayor Lindsay,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Here.
Councilor Crane,
Here.
and Councilor Week is not here. Councilor Humbert,
Here.
we have a quorum. You may proceed.
Approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Before we move on to old business, I believe Manager Ware would like to introduce a new staff member.
Yeah. Oh.
Good morning, this is our mayor, and that's village manager, you've already met. This is council, Mayor Pro Tem, you've already met, Ileana, you just met. Everyone, this is Juliana Gibson from Texas, just outside of Dallas, I can't remember the name of the town. Greenville, and she's the new budget analyst. So she's gonna be the one who's gonna be taking charge, making sure that budgets are now being done. Instead of just by clumps of money, she's gonna take them down to the actual requirement levels. So these guys are gonna be line iteming what they're planning on doing in the future. She's gonna be current year +2, and she's also gonna be doing the budgets by fiscal month. And so we're gonna be getting a much more detailed type of budget out of her. And then on top of that, on the backside, she works with the accountants to make sure that everything that posted the way we thought it was gonna post. And so she's on the front side, she's on the back side.
Fantastic. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. Very
Nice to meet
excited
you.
to be here.
So, and she stands ready for any questions.
Okay.
As long as the army gets its money.
Okay, all right.
Juliana, can you just give them a little bit of your background?
Okay. I've been a financial manager for the Air Force for over 30 years. Then I moved on to federal service and I was a financial manager there for 10 years. And I left federal service and am now working for City of Angel Fire. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm used to dealing with budgets, all of finance, payroll, accounting. So I do have a very diverse knowledge of financial management.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Moving into old business, I'd like to open item A for discussion. That's to approve resolution 2025-44, airport KAXX budget, fiscal year 25. Clerk Strickland.
Good morning, Mayor, Councilors, Village Manager. This item was brought before you on January 2nd of 25. Back then, a resolution was not drafted when you guys had approved this. At that time, I was not yet clerk. And to be fair, I didn't even know it needed a resolution. Finance came up to me and said we need one for housekeeping purposes. So I'm just asking that you guys sign the resolution. And I'll stand for any questions.
There's no questions. I'd ask Mayor Pro Tem Howe to make the motion.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-44, airport KAXX budget, fiscal year 25.
Second.
We have an audience question.
I'm sorry, Ms. White, I couldn't see you.
Behind the podium.
Mayor, council, Mr. Manager, Ileana. I'm gonna say it again. You have all heard me say this. I think the best thing in the world for this village is taking over responsibility and ownership of the airport. And I really appreciate that you all have taken that on, and I know it's not easy. I guess the question I have, and I found out on Saturday, that the 3 employees that exist right now at the airport are all full-time. And then Scott is coming back as part-time, and that's great. And don't get me wrong, Chris and Joel are stellar. I guess my concern, and I talked to Bill a little bit before the meeting. My concern is, where is the money coming from? I've been flying in and out of here since 1988. And I've never seen the airport in a position to have 4 employees, and traffic is down. I know it will build up once the rumors of change. I went back to Fort Worth a couple of weeks ago and had coffee with a bunch of friends, and word is out that there's change. And it's like, take a deep breath. It's the best thing in the world. Yes, it's different, but it's gonna be good. My concern is the budget and the plan. Is there a plan that exists looking forward, starting now and looking forward? I just, it raised those little red flags about, it's great to have that many employees, but how can the village sustain it?
That's a good question. I can tell you, that fortunately, we have cash reserves that we're able to put toward the airport, and that's one of the reasons that we were able to take this
Right.
project on. Had we not had the money to be able to do it, we certainly wouldn't have taken this initiative. We felt like it's a good moment in time to do all these things, like you said, we've got to build it up before it, to get it to its full potential. And then obviously the model is for it to be self-sustaining or even run in the black
Yeah.
in the future. So with that said, there's been a lot of hurdles. Number one being the county budget that we were given for the operation was it was just a number on a piece of paper. It didn't mean anything. So we're learning a lot there, and we also know that to provide the service that we're wanting to provide, we have to have the staff to do it. And so currently, yeah, it's not paying for itself, and we're actually throwing money at it with the consultants and attorneys. But we truly feel like it'll be an economic driver going forward, and we have the moment in time to take that opportunity.
Okay.
Mr. Manager.
Mr. Mayor, Ms. Boyd, a couple of things. Number one, right now Scott's not on board and
Right.
that final decision hasn't been made yet. We are in discussions with him, on
He's
coming
the
back
one who knows general aviation. You would be well
part-time.
to do that.
The other thing is that the director is, even though technically we moved him from part-time to full-time, it's an accounting requirement because of occasionally he works more than 30 hours.
Right.
But on average, he is working less than 30 hours a week. So he is part-time if you look at payroll perspective, but we had to set him at full-time for those times when we do need him to work more hours. But he's budgeted for just under 30 hours a week. As a matter of fact, he doesn't even like to work more than 30 hours a week.
Well, I got on his case on Saturday and said, own the leadership. Yeah, I understand. But it's perception wise. And I know I was told once, it's not your airport. No, it's not my airport. But like I said, I've been flying in and out of here since '88. People know I've had an interest. And unfortunately, sometimes when there are questions, they come to me and I point them at other people. It's just part of it. And I do care deeply about the direction of the airport. And I know people in town who now feel an ownership toward the airport. And so the questions come up more than they used to. And so that was my concern about finding out about the change in employees, and boy, let me tell you, I won't argue about it, but it's just a concern. And
And to be fair too, I mean, you know, I have to look at it different than I've looked at things my entire life, but, you know, the employees mainly in this building here, don't generate any revenue, but they provide a valuable service to the community.
right,
And so that's the way we have to look at the airport right now as well.
but the airport is your first true customer service business. And customer service and the comments that I've heard about the changes on the inside, the furniture, pass this along to Annie, are terrific. It's just a very different business. And when people decide to fly into Santa Fe and drive up because of customer service and reliability, and somebody in a nice little uniform meeting them on the ramp, Chris's personality is changing that a lot. People will come in here because of him. So I think it's gonna be a learning experience. But it's a very different approach when you've never had a customer service kind of entity.
Well, and I agree with that, that's true, but at the same time, you know, we wanna see. The slash departments, fire station number
Oh.
3, anybody that interacts with the customers.
Absolutely,
I mean, we are, so just because you don't have a choice as to where,
yeah,
you do have a choice where you can fly in and out of.
yeah.
You don't have a choice where you can take your trash or pay your water bill, but we do want to instill that. Into all the departments here, and so, yes, that's. a big
There
part
are
of
more
what we do.
good changes going on than I have ever seen.
Thanks.
And, you know, it is one of those. I hate to admit that I would decide to go refuel somewhere else because their snacks were better. But that's just of aviation, you know? But I just, the questions and the concerns are out there.
Sure.
But just know that I am so pleased with the change, and I think it's the best thing that you could possibly do. And I know how wonky and weird the world of aviation is. But I just, and Bill and I talked about the short-term rental, the lodger's tax, all those changes that are going on. But I think the more transparent you can be with it,
And we certainly make every attempt to be.
yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming this morning. Yeah, I believe, I'd ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion on item
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-44, airport KAXX budget fiscal year 25.
Second.
Roll call vote on item A, Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
A. Item B, I'd like to open discussion to approve resolution 2025-45, workforce housing budget fiscal year 25.
Mr. Mayor, Council Manager Weir, this item was brought before you January 28th of this year. I hadn't even hit my 2-week mark yet as clerk. This is one of those resolutions, again, I didn't know needed. Finance came knocking on my door last week saying they needed it. If you guys could grant this, be nice. And I'll stand for any questions.
Questions or discussion? Not that ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion on item B.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-45, workforce housing budget fiscal year 25.
Second.
Roll call vote on item B. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Moving on to item C, I'd like to open discussion to approve resolution 2025-47, water sewer rates to include fire and domestic use. Director Edler.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, Council. Manager Weir, Clerk Strickland. In Tuesday's council meeting, presented the increase in water rates based on CPI. But failed to do the same for sewer rates. Also, the other thing that we did not address were the overage charges beyond the minimal use charges. And I would like to present that today. Would you like for me to read the new water rates over again? Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. So
Transparency.
water rates increase for 5/8 meter is increases to $41.44 for 4,000 gallons. 3/4 inch meter is $51.71 for 5,000 gallons. 1 inch meter is $72.41 for 7,000 gallons. 1.5 inch meter is $92.97 for 9,000 gallons. A 2 inch meter is $142.27 for 14,000 gallons. A 3 inch meter is $239.62 for 24,000 gallons. A 4 inch meter is $399.30 for 40,000 gallons. And a 6 inch meter is $665.38 for 40,000 gallons. The new charge for customer charges for each additional 1,000 gallons used beyond the monthly minimum allowance is now $11.05. On the schedule for sewer rates for fiscal year 2026, for a 5/8 meter, it's $42.68. 3/4 inch meter, $60.93. 1 inch meter, $91.47. 1.5 inch meter, $245.97. 2 inch meter, $437.19. 3 inch meter, $983.46. 4 inch meter, $1,747.97. 6 inch meter, $3,299.40. And the monthly charge in excess, if per 1,000 gallons beyond minimal usage, is now $13.82. Stand for any questions.
Questions from Director Epler? If not, as Mayor Pro Tem Pettit, make a motion on item C.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-47. Water sewer rates to include fire and domestic use.
Second.
Roll call vote on item C. Mayor Pro Tem Ho,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Hubbard.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Director. Moving on to item D, discussion to approve consulting contract with RMT LLP. Manager Ware.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council. As y'all may know, Rick Tafoya, longtime or lifelong resident in our community and spent 2 decades working in the water waste department even before it was transferred to the village when we originally started, when it was still owned by the resort. Level 4 in both water and wastewater, which is very rare to find in the state of New Mexico. Has retired, but we have asked him to come back and work with us on a consulting basis. He has some knowledge that's not documented anywhere. We can't find documentation. There are.
Wait. It's not that we don't have documentation of his knowledge, local knowledge, that we don't have documentation for. In other words,
We don't have as-bills for our
understood, yeah.
water system.
It sounded almost as if you're saying his knowledge isn't documented.
No, I'm sorry. I mean, in general,
Just to
he,
be clear.
he can provide a level of expertise that is unattainable anywhere else, just because, you know, nobody else has the experience or the knowledge he has, and unfortunately, a lot of the work that was done back in the sixties and seventies was not properly documented in our water wastewater system. So because of this, we feel that to progress with some of the goals that we have in the water and wastewater system, that it benefit the village to bring him on as a consultant. He is, the agreement was for him to work a minimum of 20 hours a month, but he doesn't want to work more than 40 hours a month. So therefore, in the agreement, you may have seen, we limited we limited the amount of the agreement, cannot exceed $48,000 a year. And he's probably looking at costing us between 20 and 30,000 dollars a year, I think is what we'll see. At a very reasonable rate of $100 an hour, which is a rate below most of our consulting contracts that we have. There is one change I'd like to make that our legal that did not make the version that was in your contract. But if you look, let's see, what page is this on? It's under section 19, insurance and indemnification. Since he is a sole practitioner, it's on page 6, section 19. And then there is a section that says, paragraph 3, workers' compensation and employers' liability. And it sets our standard language for our workers' compensation with contractors. But since he's the sole practitioner, he requested that this come into play if he has more than himself. So as long as the owner is the only employee, he wouldn't be required to have workers' compensation, which is something that we've done for other sole proprietors. The most recent was line of sight surveying, and our legal counsel has previously approved that. I will tell you, in this contract, our legal counsel wrote this contract. I have not gotten a response back from her yet as to whether or not this is acceptable, but we have done it in other contracts that are where we're contracting with the sole proprietor. So that's the only change. I can, if you'd like, I can read you exactly. It says in paragraph 3, it says workers' compensation and employers' liability if contractor has employees other than president/owner. And that's the only change to the contract that we presented in the packet.
Right, if there's no any further discussion or questions, ask Mayor Pro Tem how to make a motion with the changes to item 19, section A, paragraph 3.
Would you like me to read that to you again, Mayor Pro Tem?
All right, let's give it a go.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve consulting contract with RMP LLP with a change to paragraph 19, section A3 to add if the contractor has other employees.
It actually should, the amendment should be for that section 3 to read workers' compensation employer liability if contractor has employees other than president/owner. I was sorry, I didn't, this is it right there.
All right. To add to the motion the workers' compensation for and employer's liability if contractor has employees other than president/owner.
Second.
Roll call vote on item D. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion
And
passed.
I would like to say that I think this is a great move to capture a lot of things that we know have occurred. But in this case, Rick's the only one that can really document those for us.
Well, and to help Kurt and Logan, yeah, that's Director Epler.
Yes, if I may, I've known Mr. Tafoya for a number of years and actually learned a lot from him. Acting as a contractor when he was with the Village of Angel Fire, him and Mr. Benjamin, both taught me so much. You know, understand, I mean, as everybody well knows, I'm very proud of the accomplishments of the water department. But we have reached the point on some things where we need some more knowledge that quite frankly, we can't get from our on-call engineering service. And we need that historical knowledge. We have some issues that we desperately want to resolve. But I needed to kind of take a step back because what seems like a simple resolution could cause a negative effect somewhere else. And in having discussions with Mr. Tafoya, he can really help us with some of these scenarios. And to give an example, we have a pretty good portion of our core area that's fed from the back basin tank all the way from the back. And as we've experienced over the last couple of years, some issues with that water system back there. This has put us in situations where we've had a good number of condominiums, some businesses that have had challenges with water. We will be able to isolate those lower areas off of the back basin tank. So if there's a failure, it's not affecting as much. And that's kind of just the beginning. And I think this wonderful young crew that we have in water department, they soak up knowledge like a sponge, and I just can't think of a better place to get it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll move on to new business. Item A, I'd like to open for discussion to approve resolution 2025-43. Positions to be filled at the regular local election. Dr. Strickland.
Good morning again. The Colfax County Clerk had reached out to me and she wanted to know if we were gonna have any counselors up for election this year. I learned we are. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like Mr. Mayor Pro Tem Howe and Counselor Humbert are gonna be up for election this year. I indicated that they are at large, 4-year term. I have a resolution here in English and in Spanish, which is required. And I'll stand for any question.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Howe, if you could make a motion on item A.
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-43, positions to be filled at regular local election.
Second.
Roll call vote on item A. Mayor Pro Tem Howe,
Aye.
Counselor Crane,
Aye.
and Counselor Humbert.
Aye.
Motion passed.
And then it was item B. Open discussion to approve resolution 2025-46, solid waste trash service rates. Director Epler.
Morning again, Mr. Mayor, Council, Strickland, Manager Weir. Resolution 2025-46 is for increase in solid waste trash service rates based on 2.9% increase in CPI. The rates, new rates for fiscal year 2026 will be for a single family dwelling unit will now be $27.43. Multifamily dwelling unit will also be $27.43. Hotel unit will go to $10.74. Commercial will go to $34.34. for dumpster fees. Minimal number allowed, for pickups is 3. So the new fee per month for a dumpster is $308.37. With additional pickup charge of $157.44. For 4 pickups is the new rate is $371.91. Additional fee per pickup of $193.45. For 5 pickups, new rate $458.62. Each additional pickup, $236.67. For 6 pickups, new rate is $545.29. And I'm sorry, I should back up. For each additional dumpster, it's not per pickup. I apologize. For each additional dumpster is $288.12.
Questions or discussions for Director Epler? As Mayor Pro Tem, how to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve resolution 2025-46, solid waste trash service rates.
Second.
Roll call vote on item B. Mayor Pro Tem Powell.
Aye.
Counselor Crane.
Aye.
And Counselor Humber.
Aye.
Motion passed.
That, this meeting is adjourned.